So let's go on to our next topic, guys. And this is an interesting one. I actually saw some people like doing the SMH, just slapping my head over on Twitter and other places that this is even a topic. Guys, you guys know I'm hyped for Switch 2, right? Like this isn't nothing that we discussed today is going to destroy my hype for Switch 2. However, the topic is, are there any concerns for Switch 2? And I'm just going to bring up a couple that the general public and others have brought up. As an example, there is a self-proclaimed, because we can't verify, developer over on Reddit says that one of the concerns is essentially game installs. That Switch 2's cartridges aren't fast enough. And because of that, there's like two modes where you can read directly off a cartridge or read directly off the hard drive, which, by the way, that's also a mode on Switch 1. That's not actually new.
Yeah.
But it's basically where you could force a game to download off the cartridge onto the system, which would be new. Which is basically how every other platform works. PlayStation, Xbox, all the handheld PCs work that way. PC gaming's been that way forever. Even like when you had the disc back in the 90s and stuff, like you were installing the game. You didn't play it off the disc. Now, the floppy drives, you did play it off the old floppy drives. That was a thing back in the day. But once we hit the CDs...
I'll show you a floppy drive.
Oh, jeez. He unmutes for that. For that comment.
That's what she said.
That's good. I think it was worth it.
So that is something that is being talked about as a possible concern. I think the concern would mostly just be that physical games aren't really physical anymore, which is what it's like on the other platforms. And it wouldn't even be for all the games, but for the games that force installs, like a lot of AAA games do that. And then the other concern is obviously storage at that point, because if you have to install these 50 gig, 60 gig, 100 gig games, your internal storage is going to be just as full as it was on Switch.
Yeah.
So those are obviously the concerns there. And then the other one, this is one that popped up literally the moment the trailer was revealed. The connection point for the Joy-Cons on the inside of the rails of the Switch. You know, it's a little PCB sticking out. For some reason, everyone thinks that's a weak point and just going to snap off. Like it's going to be a very common problem, like as common as Joy-Con drift. And people are just going to snap that thing off. So those are the two brought up. So first off, are we worried about game installs? I have one note on game installs. I can't verify any information on this, but a very popular user over at Family Boards reached out to me privately and basically said, we don't know who that person is on Reddit, but they're full of shit. The Switch 2 cartridge speeds are like 8 times as fast as the Switch 1 cartridge speeds.
I saw that too.
And they said, but they're like, I can't tell you how we know, but we know the Switch 2 cartridge speeds are fast as shit. And this isn't a problem. And I'm like, okay. But that's the thing. It's a he said, she said situation. Quite literally. This claims to be a female developer and this is a male person. So literally, he said, she said. I don't know who to believe. I'll just say this. If there are forced installs, I said this in my video on it, I don't think it's a problem. Because bottom line is most AAA developers are grabbing the 8 gigabyte cartridges anyways and making us install 50 gigs of the game. Because that's what they were doing on Switch 1. NBA 2K, anyone? Anyone buy that on Switch? You download and install most of the game. There's like nothing on the cartridge. Yep. So I'm just saying that like it kind of is just going to feel like Switch 1 did when people weren't using the right size cartridges. And guess what? Even with cheaper cartridges, let me tell you, very few are going to be using 32 and 64 gig cards or even 128 if they're available. They're going to go with the cheapest possible cartridge and make you download and install most of it. So to me, it's like nothing really changed. But if you're worried about like Nintendo, I don't think Nintendo games are going to be a problem. I think all Nintendo games will play right off the cart. And they'll design their games specifically to run right off the cart. Might there be slightly faster load times on internal storage? Sure, that's true on Switch 1 as well. Load times are slightly faster. But I think Nintendo will design it with the cartridge in mind. So I'm not worried about Nintendo's games. AAA third parties were always going to make us do it anyways, even if this isn't true. So that's what I have to say on that part. We'll get to the snapping connector thing in a bit. Let's throw it over to Andrew, buddy. What are you thinking? Are you worried about game installs if this is true?
No, I'm not worried about any of this stuff. If anything Nintendo has taught me, it's that they're going to screw up the thing I least suspect. So they're going to screw up something. But like when the Switch came out, like I didn't know joysticks were going to be the biggest problem.
Right.
And yeah, I didn't know that eShop was going to be a mess. Yeah, I don't think it's any of these, but it's going to be something. Just hold on tight and
nothing's ever perfect.
And,
yeah, It'll be something that we're not talking about right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I literally cannot think of what it is, but I'm gonna hate it, whatever it is. So that's my very specific prediction.
And
it won't get fixed.
Heating and melting for some reason because they went with cheap.
And it won't get fixed. That
It
is the
won't
truth.
get fixed. Yeah,
That's the only true thing.
I don't know about you guys, but
They'll
I've been
never admit it's a
suffering from
problem.
a,
They'll never admit it's a problem, but then they'll have their tech services say, "Hey, screw your warranty. We'll fix it for free, the whole gen." But it's not a problem.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I've been suffering from a severe case of stick drift for 7-8 years now.
Are you sure? Only 7 or 8?
I'm not sure, but it's been a long time. Let me tell you.
That's what she said.
Too long.
Yeah. So, I mean, that brings up an additional concern that like they didn't fix the drift problems. And they're using the same joysticks. I know there's a lot of rumors out there, mostly just Next Handheld being like, "No, they're Hall effect," and it's from a teardown. He like doubled down after reveal. And Next Handheld, those don't know, he's the one that literally leaked all the images of Switch 2 and then got completely proven correct when Nintendo dropped the reveal. Like everything he said, it was right there. Now there's things he said obviously not proven yet, such as the Hall effect, but he said it came afterwards when people were like, "Oh, you don't actually know if they're Hall effects. Like, you wouldn't know from just touching it." And he's like, "Dude, we tore the thing down. They're Hall effect." I'm like, "Oh, well, shit." I mean, I can't doubt them if they said they took it apart. Like if they took the damn thing apart, then yeah, they're Hall effect sticks. I mean, you could easily tell when you take them apart. They're designed very different from traditional sticks. Anyways, but I do think like the sticks could still be a legit concern because we don't know for sure that they're using Hall effect, and if they're not, and they're using the same old sticks, that's a problem. But I think it's the one faith I have is Nintendo is actually starting to lose lawsuits over the sticks. Like they're slowly losing and having to make payouts in other countries. So like I think Nintendo just lawsuits alone will be changing the sticks. It might not be Hall effect, but it's going to be something that's not what Switch is.
Magnetic liquid that gets hard.
Well, I knew you were going to go with the magnetic liquid patent.
I mean, they lose money on. I bet they've lost a lot on shipping itself.
Okay.
I've shipped every single one of my controllers, and I didn't pay for any of that shipping. Like,
well, yeah, that's the thing. They started covering all of it, even though they don't admit it's a problem.
Yep.
What's the one time they publicly addressed it? They said that like all sticks drift, not just ours. It's like, oh well,
That's what I've been telling people.
That's not the point, Nintendo. Yours drift way more often than everybody else's. That's the problem. Yes, I've had Xbox controllers drift. I've had PlayStation. I've had your Pro controller drift. But the Joy-Cons are like a guarantee at some point. Like they're going to happen to almost everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the issue there is that not only is it very comfortable to hold, but it's also drifting. So people are like, wait a minute, you know what? This I can't hold this too much because my hand hurts. And on top of that, it's drifting. Because if it weren't comfortable to hold, at least you'd be like, you know what? At least it's comfortable to hold. So but on top of that,
absolutely.
Yeah. Can I respond to the cartridge thingy?
Yeah, go for it.
So, my friends, there's something called 2D NAND. Okay, 2D NAND is what we use now on Nintendo Switch. It's a technology that allows people to read stuff. And then there's another thing called 3D NAND, right? 3D NAND has a higher capacity storage. All right. So the versus 3D NAND. Okay, 2D NAND has a single layer of memory cells. I'm reading this because don't think I'm smart. I'm just reading it. 2D NAND has a single layer of memory cells, while 3D NAND has stack of cells on top of each other. Okay. You got me of here. Storage capacity. 3D NAND has a higher storage capacity to 2D NAND. Because it can store more cells, you know, the stacky thingy I mentioned before.
Stack them,
yeah. So power consumption, 3D NAND consumes less power than 2D NAND. So hey, it'll actually allow you to play games faster, right? I mean, not faster, but more longer. 3D NAND is it has faster read speeds than 2D NAND as well, and also costs less than 2D NAND to produce. So, to that developer, I'm sorry, where did you go to school again? You know, as I would have to ask that question, or where did you learn how to read? You know, so 2D NAND versus 3D NAND, you have to kind of separate both. We have newer technologies, just like people saying Oh yeah. How are we gonna play games? How is it gonna be faster? Well, not only is it gonna read faster because of the 3D NANDs, but it's also gonna read faster because the internal storage itself from the Nintendo Switch is also not a big giant hard drive from the 80s. It's M.2 drive, which is also a faster hard drive or drive that reads faster as well, and it writes and reads faster. You know, it's like comparing the portable. Remember the hard drive that came in the Xbox, like the square one?
Yeah.
Computers, like the big giant thing that with the disc in the middle, right?
So they're technically just called hard disks, hard drives.
Yeah. So from hard disk we went to SSD, and now we are in NAND.
NVMe, M.2, NAND.
M.2, yeah. So you know the technology moves forward. It doesn't stay the same. So I mean that's my response to that one.
So obviously, just in defense of the developer, we don't know the cartridges use 3D NAND. It is a rumor and an assumption. We think they do, but we don't actually have any publicly fact-based evidence that they do. It's just an assumption. So just to defend them, what if it is still using the 2D NAND? What if it is, even though it makes no sense because it's more expensive?
But just the mere fact that 3D NAND holds more storage,
Sure,
more a higher capacity,
sure.
You know, and I think that developers would actually demand, hey, we know we got bigger games, we want to install in your little thingy there.
Still think you're gonna grab the smallest size available. Nintendo, just make the smallest size at least 16, if not 32 gigs, please, because
exactly.
you know if you drop 8 gigabyte ones, that's what they're all gonna use. They're gonna buy the cheapest things possible and make us download the rest. Regardless of it being 2D or 3D or fast enough, right? That's just what it's gonna be. But that's up to Nintendo, whatever they want to make the standard smallest size be. Maybe they do decide it's gonna be 16 or 24 or 32 or something. The biggest thing, of course, is that 3D NAND is faster. It has a slightly different pin layout than 2D NAND, but it can 2D NAND can be read by a 3D NAND one. That's why they can use the same cartridge slot.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, did they use it? Did they not use it? Obviously, the fact that this person talking to me is like, look, I could tell you how I know, but then you can't talk about it. And I've been watching your podcast and you told me you're tired of knowing things you can't talk about. So I'm just not going to tell you so you can talk about it. And then Mike brought up the 3D NAND because that's what I was going to bring up. I was like, oh, I mean, this has been talked about for a while that it's 3D NAND. But yeah, again, even if there are installs, I don't know how it's different than right now. I got to go to Thunderset. He's laughing every time I bring that up because like, how those AAA third parties on the Switch, man, huh? How those working for installs?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Personally, I think none of this is a big deal.
There we go.
Yeah, I this is nothing. This is what people talk about when they don't know what to talk about.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah, this is not a big deal. So they're saying that the big major inconvenience here is that we're gonna have to install these games onto the actual Switch or onto our additional storage that we put on the Switch. That's the big deal, right? Not missing anything.
Pretty much. Like that's
unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable that people would complain about this. Get the F out of here. That's so stupid. This is so stupid. This is classic internet bullshit.
Half the consumers are going to be buying digitally anyways, so like they weren't even thinking about this.
They are, and you know what? I'm buying an SD Express same day. I'll throw it on there. I don't care. And again, yeah, we've been doing this already. If you own other consoles, this is how it works. You know what I mean? Like when I install a game, I usually need to like go do something else for a while. I don't just sit there and wait. You know, I'll do something. I'll work. I'll clean the house. I'll go to the gym. There's so many things you can do. There's so many things in life that are available to us to do that are both of leisure and of work that we can go do. This is not a big deal. What is a waste of time is getting on the internet and complaining about it, though. Yeah. That is the biggest waste of time ever. So, you know, people who complain about that, man, go chip away at your backlog, okay? and just get ready for Switch 2 because you know you're still gonna buy it. That's how I feel
Absolutely.
about
But
it.
I don't want to have to buy an expansion. Guess what? People are buying M.2s for PS5. People are buying
Yeah.
expansion cards on Xbox, and you've been buying SD cards on your Switch for years. Enough.
Yeah, go mow some lawns.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's a non-issue. We've been doing this forever on other platforms. Like you said, anytime I buy a game for my PS5, I have to make a sacrifice. Which game am I going to sacrifice from the console storage so I can make room for this new game?
Especially if it's a
Every
Rockstar
time.
game. Rockstar
Yeah.
games, man.
Jeez,
Rockstar
yeah.
or
You
Call
have
of
to
Duty.
sacrifice
Yeah.
all your games for that.
Yeah, Call of Duty. Yeah. Well, welcome. That'll be interesting to see everyone complain that's new to this.
Oh
How
man,
funny will that be?
half my internal storage. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
That's what Call of Duty does.
Right.
You
And
want to
the
deal with
other
an
thing-
upgrade.
And the other thing is, you guys both mentioned this, or maybe just you mentioned this, Nate. Nintendo, they're masters of compression. They're going to make sure they're
Yeah, I'm not worried
big.
about Nintendo games.
Yeah, they're big games, which is the core reason why most people are buying a Switch. Granted, I do think more people will be playing third-party games on Switch 2 than the Switch. Obviously, there's going to be a bigger library of those, given the system's going to be a lot more capable and be able to run those games with less compromise or sacrifice. But that being said, I don't see it being any more of an issue than it already is on PS5 or Xbox.
Yeah. It's not going to be. People are just being babies right now. They just need to get over it and go clean their room, go do something, go help somebody. There's a million things in life you can go do. Go to the park, go for a walk,
That's a good segue for our sponsor, Share Skill. Or
go
Share
to the
Skill.
grocery store.
Skillshare. You got the sponsor wrong. We don't have a sponsor for this.
Go to the Share Skills.
We'll take sponsors, but there's no sponsors.
Skillshare, and then there's something.
Well, hey,
Share.
let's talk about that other complaint too.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, for real, seriously.
Because
This is the one that this is like on all social media. There's like an image that someone drew in Japan of like snapping off the connector. I'm not gonna go first on this one. Dude,
I'll step in.
Eric, here we go.
I think that's a non-issue. Look at USBs. You look at the internal port of a USB, there is a little thing that sticks out. You don't see those breaking off all willy-nilly.
You have to reef and really try to break
Right.
it.
And these things are going to be recessed, and they're not going to be sticking out. I mean, you're going to have to try to break these things. I have a feeling. Or the only way that I could see maybe is if you go to put your thing in there and you have it just even slightly cockeyed, but I doubt that. I doubt it just because of the fact that, it's just going to be literally a tight fit.
And the way the renders made it look, they intend for you to be able to put it in cockeyed. Like they were going bottom in.
Yeah.
Like they were just snapping it in. So I'm not really that concerned about this like at all. For starters, I've been in motherboard manufacturing before, and I know how strong these things are. You have to try to intentionally break this kind of stuff. This is a very thick PCB sticking out inside and recessed, so it's not going to accidentally bump it. You can drop your Switch; it's not going to accidentally do anything to it. And I think it's just because somebody on day one, just to get a bunch of shares, is going to take a pair of pliers and snap it. They're going to break it.
Yeah.
And they're going to post it on social media and say, what a piece of shit.
Yep, they are.
It's going to happen.
You
Because
really think someone would do that? Go on the internet and tell lies?
What? What?
Famous words of Buster from Arthur.
Yeah. So, like, I know how rigid these things are. Almost every single cord and port we use in the world works exactly like this and isn't a problem. And in addition, like, they talked about, it's going to be like if you bend your Joy-Cons. Why are you bending? First off, why are you doing that with your Joy-Cons? We just talked about that. What the fuck are you doing? Maybe a kid, but even then, these Joy-Cons look like they're recessed in like a quarter of an inch. Like they're deep in there. This ain't the little flimsy rails of Switch 1. They are really in there. And there's magnets helping as well. So much so that while, yeah, you could probably rip them out because of course you can. You just like you could rip them off the rails without pushing the button.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could probably rip them out, but it's going to take some force. And that's why they have a mechanical mechanism Nintendo showed that you actually have to apply some force to get them to easy disconnect. Because Nintendo intentionally made this extremely difficult. This is, for those who don't know, the guy who designed the hardware, Koizumi, he already talked about this many, like back in 2017 doing interviews, how they originally were trying to do a magnet style design. They wanted to slap together and to make it work. But they were having an issue at the time because I think they were just using normal magnets, not electric ones, where sometimes you'd be holding your Switch and they would just fall out. Okay, yeah, fair. Using normal magnets, that can happen because you don't want normal magnets that are like cow magnets and too strong because then you're harming the internal components. So at the time, they probably weren't even thinking about electromagnets. And then after Switch came out and they were starting to think about the next one, they realized, hey, we can use electromagnets, which we can direct where the magnetism goes away from the components we don't want it to hit, like the storage and stuff. And it actually could be a very, very strong connection. And on top of that, this connection is now reinforced by the fact you're physically inserting it into something, which then makes it also more rigid and it's deeper in. Like it's going to be very hard to bend it like this and snap them. Is someone going to grab their Switch, reefing on it like this? Yeah, they'll try to do it to prove a point, of course. And as the point's being proven that they're basically using a fucking crowbar to break it, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty damn durable. If you gotta go to the lengths of intentionally reefing on it to break it, then it's not a problem. That's not a normal use case. Even a kid ain't gonna do that to it. Kids might chuck it around the room. They might throw it at your TV and break your TV. But I guarantee you this thing will probably survive. So I'm really, really not concerned about it. Also, one thing to remember about this device that I think a lot of people forget with Switch is, according to Nintendo, Switch's primary audience is all adults. Like 95% adults. It's insane. And then you look at how they revealed Switch 2. That design looks sleek, right? It looks like modern. It looks like something an adult would want to carry around. Because again, Nintendo's targeting adults again first. And adults take better care of their shit. So in the end, yeah, will there be like, well, what about kids? Yeah, there'll be a light version where they don't detach. That's going to be your kid model, just like for Switch. But they ain't targeting kids right away. Kids ain't going out and dropping $400 plus $70 for a game and $100 for a new controller because they want the Pro controller for the TV mode and other money. Like think about it, a lot of people are going to be spending like $600-700 on launch to get games and accessories and stuff. They ain't kids. Nintendo's not targeting kids right now. And I know we thought, oh, Mario Kart. Yeah, Mario Kart hits on everyone, not just kids. It's not just kids. I hope they have voice lobbies. So I can go into a Mario Kart game and realize, oh my God, dude, I'm just hanging with a bunch of 30-year-olds drinking beer right now. What are we doing? I thought this was supposed to be a Call of Duty lobby. I was getting ready for you to say obscene things about my mama. And instead you're like, shit, man, dude, nice fucking race. You want to do a shot together? Fuck yeah. Then again, if I drop F-bombs in the chat, Nintendo might come in and be like, shut the whole thing down. Depends on how much they moderate it. But no, I seriously think that like people forget that they're targeting adults, and this is already going to be something that's been tested and is very hard to break. And I just, if something looks so obvious that you think it's a problem, then it's probably not. As Andrew brought up earlier, it's going to be something we're not thinking about, something we don't notice. As an example, one of the issues at launch, and this was only at launch for one of the first runs of the Switch, is some of the docks were slightly bent. And because they were, people who played dock mode only, as the Switch heat up, it would start molding to the dock. And then we had the bend gate situation in the first month, where one run of those docks was bent and they were physically making your Switches smile a little bit. That's something no one was even thinking about.
Not a bad thing.
When they revealed Switch.
But it's happy.
So, yeah, so because I'm happy. And it didn't even affect whether the Switch worked or not or anything. But it was, yeah, it's kind of annoying. Your brand new electronic has a little smile in it after a month and you never took it out the dock. What the fuck? Well, that's why, because you didn't take it out the dock. And now that you did, oh, the dock is bent? What the fuck? Yeah, get your warranty claim in, obviously. But yeah, so it's going to be something like that. There's going to be something we're not thinking about. something that's so obvious like this is like, come on, Nintendo knows. They wouldn't have put that in there if it was just you could just just crack it off. I bet you can't even put your fingers in there and snap it off.
Yeah, that was exactly my thoughts when I saw everyone kind of freaking out about this. I'm like, man, if it's something that like at a glance, your first time seeing it, that everyone's freaking out. Oh my gosh, that's a breaking point. That's that looks super fragile. That's gonna break. At a glance, first impressions of it, everyone's noticing that. Surely Nintendo has the foresight to be like, hey, we got to build this in a way to where this isn't going to be super fragile and break off, and have the R&D to do so. The only thing, and out of complete ignorance, because I don't know enough about tech to make an assumption, but as someone who doesn't know this stuff, I'd actually be more concerned about wear and tear on it than the piece actually breaking.
Sure.
And I don't even know if that would be a possibility where wear and tear. I know we had cartridges that we used for years and put in our consoles.
Cables we charge our phones with.
But I know, like with the Switch, there was another issue early on. If you didn't have a screen protector, the dock would scrape.
Oh, dock scratching.
And it's superficial. It doesn't affect the performance at all. And if you've got a screen protector, you don't have to worry at all about that. But yeah, I feel like
like 2 months later,
the breaking is a non-issue, and if anything, it would be like Andrew and you said, Nate, something that we're not thinking of, whether it's wear and tear with that piece or something else entirely that just seems to have some sort of a long-term defect or whatever.
Yes. Is anyone actually concerned about this?
Nope. I mean, I'm not. Okay, first thing I want to point out there is that Nintendo made a close-up on that little area so you can see it. So it's not actually that big, people. It's just the perception of the trailer, so you can notice how there's a connector there where the Switch makes.
Like this top of this tab might even be bigger than that is.
That's too big.
Too big.
I'm like, and the other thing is that, like everybody has been mentioning, with just like USB-C ports and drives and stuff, it's not that out. So even if you try to put your fingers like that, your fingers can't fit in there to try and get and even touch the thing. So
it'll be thinner than a Joy-Con. It literally will be thinner than a Joy-Con because the connecting part is concave. It's thinner than the Joy-Con.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to be small.
Go in there, but not you.
Yeah.
I got an idea.
Oh, what's that?
If anybody, okay, let me ask some first. Does anybody have a 3D printer?
I do.
Okay, let's start a business. We're gonna make a protective shell to go over the PCB, and we're gonna sell it to all these people that are so worried and concerned. What do you think? Just sell it, make a little Etsy store.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be losing their shit about it. Let's sell it to them.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I think that's a good business plan.
You're scared? They have these things. Do I have it over here? No, I put it away. On my Switch, I have that's broken for parts. I have these things on it called the razor blades, and they cover up the edges of the Switch. There's just like a wood cover for it. Like, yeah, just 3D print like a cover like that for. Oh, I'm so worried when I disconnect my Joy-Con, someone's gonna come in and like zap themselves on it or something. Like, don't worry about it. We got you for $29.99 on the Etsy store.
5 payments of $29.99.
5 payments. There you go. Yeah, I'm not really worried about that. So, all right. So since neither one of these things I think are like actual concerns that we have, these are just concerns brought up by the internet at large. Are there any concerns that we do have that people aren't talking about?
Price point. We can talk about that, right? I mean,
I'm not concerned about it. Are you?
I'm not concerned personally. I'm just like concerned generally for the general consumer. You know what I mean? For the person who needs to buy, who let's say, I know I have 4 Nintendo Switches in my house. Each of my daughters have one. I have one.
Sure.
I bought my wife one. She hasn't even touched it yet. It's brand new, so I'm probably gonna give it away. And so for family members who, because Nintendo Switch is normally it's a handheld console, right? And it's meant so that multiple people in your home own one. That's how Nintendo kind of pushes it, so that my daughter can't have one, and then my other daughter can't have one, because when they're playing in handheld mode, there's only one person playing. There's only a one device. Yeah. So I think a good price point would be $350 to $499. Can't be higher than that in order for Nintendo to kind of target. And I think that they can do it and still make a profit. So I think that I mean, you said, is there any worry? I mean, that's a better worry than that little thingy breaking off, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think price point will be a good thing to worry about. Make sure that everybody in the house can afford one, because I know I can't afford a $500 system, and if my daughters want to buy one for themselves to play Animal Crossing, the new one that comes out, I can't spend $2,000 on two systems.
Well, no, I mean, look, everyone in my house has one, but they didn't get them all at launch. Like, it was over the years. You know what I mean? So, like, my kids aren't going to have Switch 2s for a while. Like, that's just reality. They're just not going. I'll probably wait for the light version to come out. 'Cause I think it's better for them, more durable. They like literally only ever play in handheld. Like, my son has a regular Switch.
Yeah.
He only ever plays in handheld. He doesn't need the dot mode.
Mhm.
But my wife, she loves dot mode. So, like, she also says she doesn't want it at launch. And then when I said, well, I'm going to have it, and she's like, does Fortnite play better on it? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I guarantee it plays better on it. And she's like,
Yeah.
well, then maybe I want one. Like, okay, so you're going to get one at launch. I got it. You're my wife. You get what you want. But no, so, like, for me, an actual concern I have, I'm not concerned about the joysticks. I think they've done something about it because they didn't want to avoid the lawsuits. I've accepted digital triggers. That's just the way Nintendo is. They're not doing analog. Like, I'm not concerned about that. I expect it. The D-pad being split again, expected. We already saw it split again. It is what it is. It's for 2-controller play. I understand. None of those are concerns. My concern is twofold. I got two concerns. They don't update the eShop.
Oh my god!
Because it's the same eShop on both consoles. I guarantee it's the same eShop on both consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the Switch 1 games will be in the Switch 2 eShop because they're still going to do this stupid web page bullshit.
Yeah.
And my concern is that they don't actually have an updated version of that specifically for Switch 2 that's better, runs quicker, has game suggestions and all. Like, I have a huge concern that we're going to deal with another exact same shitty eShop that runs a little bit faster, but in reality is still trash even when it does run. Like, it's not good even when it works. That's the thing. Like, it's just not a good shop. And that's a huge concern I have, is that Nintendo maybe didn't focus on revamping that shop because they didn't really do it the entire generation. So why now, right? Like, they're so successful. Hey, why fix what ain't broke? Well, it's fucking broke. You might get more digital sales if you had a good eShop. And then the other concern I have is tangential. It's I'm just with Nintendo, anything online always bugs me slightly. Like with Nintendo, something always feels off with their online offerings. And I don't know what it's going to be this time. Like, maybe they offer voice chat and messaging, and it's only with your friends, which is the way it should be, probably, just to keep things safe so strangers can't be texting kids and stuff. I'm like, but like, there'll be some Nintendo-ness to it that makes it really weird. Like, as an example, if I message Andrew and I'm like, hey Andrew, man, you want to play some Mario Kart tonight, dude? I'm gonna have a beer with some buddies and we're gonna make this whole thing out of it. And because I put the word beer in a message, I'm banned from messaging people forever. Something weird like that, which is like over policing of private conversations.
Yeah.
I'm worried about something like that. Or if it's not that, maybe it's something to do with online servers. That's always a constant complaint from Nintendo fans, online servers. Most of that's because it's peer-to-peer, and it's peer-to-peer with people globally. Like, go play your Mario Kart. You're playing against people in Japan as well. Like, this is what's going to happen. Play Splatoon. You're playing against people all over the world. There are issues with regional as well, but maybe that's what it's going to be. It's just something like that. Like, I'm not concerned. Like, they have the exact same OS as Switch 1. I'm not even bothered by that. But those two things are like, man, those things need to be, if you're going to go more into the online, more into the social, it needs to be done right. I don't trust Nintendo to do it right. And then with the eShop, that's the huge thing. I hate the eShop. I never use the eShop. I use their website. Their website's not much better, just to be honest. It's not any better, really. It just loads quicker.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, now that you mention it, I would love to see Nintendo, other than the eShop, like do something with. I know the UI is a big thing for Nintendo Switch. We all want a better UI, better looking one, right? But I would love for them to during the entire life of the Nintendo Switch, they release these what I call empty updates, right? It's like, okay, you're supposed to be you should get excited about an update. When we get an update on iOS on the phone, right? Comes with a new feature, comes with something new, like, oh wow, looks good. Oh, something new, right? I would love for them to take updates for Nintendo Switch and then gradually add upgrades or updates to the system itself, right? So that we can say, oh, this updates will bring this with it, and you guys will be able to do this and this and this and this, and then the following update, just like you do with the game DLC, but for the actual OS system of the Nintendo Switch, bring updates that will allow you to add wallpapers to your walls, like over time. I know people want wallpapers now, but maybe the next update will allow you to do that, or the next update will allow you to trade wallpapers or add your own or whatever. Just do something to the Switch via updates, right? Instead of just kind of update 15.1.0 bug fixes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at least every number update adds something spicy to the system that will make you excited to go ahead and update your system and kind of enjoy it.
All right. Anyone else have any actual concerns, or are we just gonna chill and see what happens?
I'm not
Mike, you don't
concerned
like
about anything.
improved stability?
I do love it.
Just I know I'm just teasing. Sorry, Thunder.
No,
You're good.
You're fine. Because I worked for Apple for 10 years, and that's one thing that I kind of loved about it. That whenever you got an iOS update, 15, 16, 17, 18, it came with these cool features or updates that kind of made you excited. Of course, they went ahead and put all the stability updates underneath, but they gave you a layer of excitement on top so that you are kind of motivated to update your system. Although it does update automatically, so I guess they don't need it.
Okay. Let's go ahead.
Wait, was Thunder gonna say something? I kind of interrupted there.
Might have been.
You know, I was gonna say there's a fix for everything.
Yeah.
For all these things, right? For the games installing on the Switch, the fix is to walk away.
Okay.
Right? For the PCB, the fix is to be careful with your system and treat your electronics carefully, like you're supposed to, like we were all taught in the 80s and 90s, right? Because what did our parents say? If you break it, we're not buying another one. Right? That's how it was. That's how it was. So you know what? Just be firm about it. But there's just a fix to all these things. The eShop sucks. It's horrible. It's a horrible shopping experience. If the eShop, could you imagine if the eShop was an actual retail store?
Oh my god.
How long would you stay in that store?
It exists. It's called Walmart.
Yeah, pretty much. I was just saying that in chat. When I go to Walmart and I need a game, I swear to you, half the time I end up getting on my phone and calling Walmart.
Yeah.
While I'm in the store, I'm like, hey, can you send someone over to the video game department with the keys? I've been over here for 20 minutes. I just need to get my game and be on my way. Well, you're here right now? Yes, I'm here right now. I'm calling you from the store. Please. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
The little button doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah. We don't have a button. We don't
Thankfully,
have one at ours.
At our local one, there's almost always at least one person in electronics to ask. But I know not every Walmart's that way. I've been to Walmart's where there's like nobody there. No.
It's not.
Later.
And Target, the only people that are in the electronics section are people who are trying to sell me long distance minutes.
That's true. That's true. They got my wife.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on here? Is this the 90s, the 2000s?
I got AT&T over Christmas because of it.
Yeah, they're trying to sell me MCI long distance minutes, trying to sell me collect cards.
Yeah.
You know, but for real, what's the fix though for the eShop? The fix I found, the workaround is just go online
AI is a fix.
Go to the Nintendo eShop online and just find the game you want.
Add our personal assistants and AI personal assistants.
Yeah. There's a
So,
fix for everything.
for the
Yeah.
Switch.
You just have to fix your perspective.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to our next topic.
Real,
Eric is
real
still-
quick, sorry. I do have two concerns
Oh, sure.
that I wanted to jump in with. I'll be real quick with them, so we can go to the next topic. One you already covered: voice chat, messaging, that sort of thing. I hope we're not stuck on the Nintendo app again. I really want them to dive into some sort of dedicated chat, even if it's just with your friends, to where I don't need an additional device to do it. Especially not the current app that we have. That's terrible. And then the second one, which might be a complete non-issue, but it's one that I've been concerned about since before we had any sort of look, or even before a lot of the leaks or rumors started to flood in. And that's just power and performance. And when I say that, I'm not someone who cares about like best graphics, most powerful hardware. I could give a crap about that sort of stuff. I hate the power chasing stuff, but I do really want the Switch 2 to be powerful enough to run third party ports without some sort of an apology. I want to be able to play games like Hogwarts or Mortal Kombat without that Vaseline look on the screen. And according to some of the rumors and people who have come out and spoken about it, they're saying it's going to run third party fine, that it's impressive. But I got to see that. You could give me all the leaks and rumors in the world. I need to see it in play. Seeing is going to be believing, and I will be so happy, because the Nintendo's my place to play. It's my favorite place to play, and there's so many third-party games that I would have waited for the Switch version, or played again on the Switch just to have that hybrid nature, that I didn't, just because the performance or the texture quality was so muddy. I'm not going to play Witcher 3 on the Switch. I'm going to play it on my PlayStation. I'm not going to play as impressive as the Doom remake or the Doom port was on Switch, which it actually looks really good, to be honest. I'm still going to play it on more powerful hardware just so I have those nice clean textures. I want that. I want that kind of Series Series S experience on the Switch too. I will be so happy. But
All right. We'll see. That proof will be in the pudding on that one. Before we move on to our next topic, I look. I love this super chat because soon, this is a sports reference that obviously I know Stash gets this reference.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
That's like the only thing I'm looking forward to when I turn 40 is I'm going to do a birthday stream. It's going to be like the first thing I say.
That's so funny.
I'm
That's
be curious
classic.
how many people in the chat get the reference?
I've been a man for 3 years now.
It's one of the best press conferences for sure.
Dude, it so is. You guys will ever watch that whole press conference? It's intense. There's a reason it's intense, but man, that coach goes off on the media. It's great.